They ranged from men living in 2 Japanese villages to American and Italian railroad workers examined in railroad cars that served as field laboratories, to farmers and laborers in areas of Crete, Italy, Yugoslavia, and Finland. To standardize the findings, data from the 7 countries were sent back to the laboratory in Minnesota for analysis. Every 5 years, Keyes tallied up the number of people who had heart disease or had died of it in each country. The differences were dramatic.
Basically, there turned out to be from 5 to 10-fold differences in heart attack rate in men of this age between the Mediterranean basin, Northern Europe, US, and Japan, with Japanese and the Greek islanders having the lowest rates of all, Finland and the United States having the highest, with parts of Yugoslavia, Northern Italy, and Holland in between. The 7-country study demonstrated clearly the preventability of heart attacks.
Ancel Keys is also regarded as the father of the diet-heart hypothesis, the idea that dietary saturated fat raises cholesterol levels and causes heart disease.
So cholesterol at the time was a convenient villain. We had this problem of atherosclerosis, a hardening of the arteries, and there was a great deal of pressure, a need really, to blame it on something.
A chap called Ancel Keys came along and said, I know what causes heart disease. Heart disease is caused by eating. Well, initially he said eating cholesterol, but he found that if you ate cholesterol, it had no effect on cholesterol levels. He then said, well, it must be saturated fat.
He drew a graph in which he showed 6 countries, the amounts of fats in calorie terms along the x-axis and the numbers of heart disease deaths in those countries. And he drew what was probably the most perfect graph you can get. It was a superb line, marvellous. There's a flaw, because at the time that Keyes did this in 1953, there were data from 22 countries he could have used. He didn't use the 16 that didn't agree.